Well, hi there. Welcome to part 3. Greetings from my Airbnb in Halifax as promised. Yes, it's cold here, so first advice I can pass along, get yourself a decent winter jacket. First impression, the image of Canadians being a friendly and happy bunch. It's so true. The bureaucracy, if done in person, yeah, it's strict, but very helpful, with a smile and a can-do attitude. From the perspective of a Canadian trucker-to-be, here's the to-do list. First, overseas at home, have your qualifications assessed, maybe translated into French or English, maybe approved, depending on which kind of diploma you have. Now, I worked with WES Canada. That's a certification authority. It's been taking a bit of a time, but it's definitely done the job. Second, make a short introductory video and share the link. It helps so much in our social media world these days. Third, find a company that is willing to sponsor you and has a pre-approved LMIA, a Labour Market Impact Assessment. I worked with an immigration agency and let them do the runaround. Not cheap, but definitely more efficient. Now, watch out, if you're sponsored by a company, then your work permit will be attached to that company, so choose wisely. Sign the work contract once things fit the bill, and have your agent or employer confirm it to immigration so that you have both inputs, yours as well as theirs. Fifth, decide on traveling. For the background, check out my vlog part number 1, and hey, while we're here, consider subscribing. Thank you so much. Travel arrangements, that's the hot part. Piece of advice, if you consider flying into Canada, you will need an electronic travel authorization, ETA, depending on your nationality, even a visa. Make sure you have all your documents on paper, where applicable in original, with you. You will need them at the border. At the port of entry, announce yourself as a new immigrant and follow the procedure you can find on immigration's website. It's actually pretty straightforward. Now, a little story of mine here at this point of the whole trip. Mine would have nearly blown up in my face. I booked a cheap 3-piece flight from Brussels via Lisbon, via Boston to Halifax. And everything was hunky-dory until I checked into Halifax at the airport of Boston. So I was told by the system that my electronic travel authorization was not valid. I ended up sleeping on a bench at the airport for 3 days, trying to get hold of someone in order to sort things out. Impossible! Since the pandemic, there is no more human responding at the phone anymore. Everything goes via web forms, with treating times of officially 72 hours. Now, in my case, I didn't get any replies whatsoever, and I chose to continue by Greyhound from Boston towards Montreal and cross into Canada via the land border, so at least I could, proceed and pick up my stuff and get organized. As a side remark, I do have a B1, B2 visa for the US, so if you do consider traveling via the US, you will also need a US visa. The interview at the land border took about 3 hours, was a very professional experience. The officer was very kind and nice, and he made sure that that all my papers were in order, and I could finally explain myself on all the questions that were still in the system, such as travel history, past addresses, tax residencies, future plans in Canada, where I will be living, and so much more. I mean, just be courteous and honest and well documented. Obviously, I missed the bus from the land border to Montreal for the last leg, so I had to take a taxi and found myself at 1 o'clock in the morning at closed doors of a lovely hostel downtown Montreal, which I just booked online on the go. It all worked out. I played tourist for a day and caught a train to Halifax. Now, bear in mind, distances here in Canada are huge, so total travel time from the land border to Halifax train station, 32 hours and around 1,000 US. And all that just because of a missing number on my electronic travel authorization. It's not cheap, again. But at least, ground transportation is slow, so take photos. You got time. Here in Halifax, they run around in logical order in order to physically set your life up in Canada. Definitely you need a centrally located Airbnb place or something similar. Then the SIN application, SIN, Social Insurance Number, in person at Service Canada, in my opinion the most efficient way. They will mail you the rest of the forms, so keep hold of that number because you will need it for pretty much everything that comes thereafter. Next step, your health card application, which you can do by phone. There's no more walk-in counter for that. Ask the person for the application number because they again will mail you the documents, but you will need that number for medical checkups if you do a CDL like I do. Maybe. I walked into a walk-in clinic and they didn't even ask for it, but in theory, just keep that number handy as well. Next step, a bank account. I shopped around online and finally I ended up choosing Royal Bank of Canada because they have a advantages newcomer package, including a credit card so that you can start building your credit score. It's a bit particular, the banking system here in North America, so do your research online. Next, you will definitely need some comps. Now, I chose TELUS, one of the 3 network operators here in Canada. They have the largest and most stable network, so they say, for a flat fee of 100 gigabits data per month.
Canada only, not cheap at $80 per month compared to Europe. Now, the next step's a funny one, the insurance package. It's still in the making. I'm not finished on that one. It seems a bit of a catch-22. All the insurance companies I contacted, they want local titles. Now, in order to get a local title, you need insurance coverage. So I reached out to the authority and guys, there must be a workaround. So that one's still open. Now, funny one, although I inquired on all of this prior to starting my moving project, they didn't tell me that there was no reciprocity for motorbikes with France. As a side remark, very few countries have reciprocities with Canada, so you will have to repass all your driving classes except for cars. Cars usually are given for free. So motorbike wise, after 30 years of riding bikes, I will have to do another learners and start from scratch here in Canada. So I'll keep you posted on that one. That's a funny one. In regards to housing, as from January 1st, as I had to learn from my banking lady, work permit holders, even long term, can no longer purchase property in Canada. I was lucky. I started the whole project back in December 2018 and bought mine in January 2019. So be prepared to pay exorbitant rents, because again, I keep coming back to prices. The inflation here is amazing, and since I was here last time in 2018, my personal take, prices have doubled. You will need 2 years of good credit score and or become a permanent resident in order to be considered for buying property. When I researched all that, funny historical fact, the highest level here is freehold land, with a house and all of it paid cash without a credit. Now, even being freehold, you're still paying to the matches this, because as a historical and legal fact, nothing ever belongs to you in Canada, in theory at least. So yeah, I'm contributing to the king. I'll see you all in part 4. Let's go and pick up my vehicles, get them licensed, and get on the road. Have fun!